Hey guys, this is Caleb with DSLR Video Shooter, and today we're checking out a massive 27-inch edge-lit LED panel from Falcon Eyes. So here's the deal. A couple videos back, I did a video talking about flex light alternatives. One of the lights that I purchased and I really dug was from Falcon Eyes. Since putting out that video, they got in touch with me and said, hey, thanks for doing that, and would you like to check out one of our edge-lit lights? So thanks to Falcon Eyes for sending this out for review. I've actually had one of these in my cart for the longest time, considering purchasing it for a reason we'll get into in a little bit later. But here it is, massive panel. It is the Falcon Eyes SO68TD. The 68 refers to the wattage, which is 68, and the TD is for tungsten and daylight, so it is a bi-color light. You can pick up this light and the following items for $510 as a kit. In the giant bag that it ships with, you will find the light itself, a power cable, a V-mounted dual MPF battery adapter, and a small antenna for connecting multiple lights to control simultaneously. So why is this light so great and awesome, and why have I been wanting one? Well, first of all, there's the size. You can see how skinny this thing is, but you don't lose the quality of light with a large panel. So let me explain that a little bit. I really like soft lights for these videos. Right now I'm using my Aperture 120D with a light dome, one of the best softness and high output combos I've ever worked with. The problem is, in this tiny space, that thing takes up so much space. It is huge. And really, traditionally, that's the only way you could get super soft light, is you would have to have your light source going through layers of diffusion that were far apart from each other. That's the ticket and the key to epically soft light. The problem with that is size. So this guy, the way this is designed essentially is, and all these edge lits are pretty much the same, there is a LED strip that goes around the outside facing into the light. The light is going to bounce off of a reflective material on the back on the inside of this. Then it's going to bounce around and come out of the front of the light through this diffusion material. So we're essentially getting similar soft light qualities, but in a tiny package. So really, really powerful stuff, and it really does work well. Now, the light itself is huge. It's 27 inches, so it's not as big as my light dome, but that size is going to give you softer light. You want a big, juicy source so that your eye light shows up really nice and big instead of a tiny little dot. Because of that, this thing is a monster. It's pretty heavy. I'm going to spin it around here, completely metal. I love the build quality. It's not ridiculously like C-stand level heavy, but you would want to mount it on a pretty decent stand. Don't throw it on some janky little cheapo stand. I really like the yoke, so you could point it up or get a nice kind of high key setup. Very easy, works really, really well. On the back of the unit, we have the control panel here. It is a touch screen. I'll fire it up here. And on the back, you'll see we have our color temperature as well as our brightness level. On the bottom, there are 4 buttons to control the color temperature, and the other 2 control the brightness values. There's also a channel button to change the channel of the light. So in theory, you could get a whole bunch of different lights from Falcon Eyes, hook them all together on the same channel, and be able to, with one light, make changes, and all the other lights would follow suit. And finally, there is a battery indicator in the top right, giving us an idea of how much juice we have left. For power, we have several different options. There is a switch on this control unit with the center being off, and then the one position is on from the power supply for AC from the cable that comes with the light, and then the other switch is for the battery. Another thing I love is similar to those flex light alternative lights, they give us a little strap that has a V-lock on it so we can mount the power brick on the light itself instead of having it dangling around, which is really, really slick, and I love that. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Here is our power brick. Gonna set that down, and I'm going to grab the battery adapter that comes with the light. So this is a really slick little setup. It gives you essentially 2 MPF sockets or mounts that will adapt to V-mount. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap this on, just like that. And I'm going to switch over to the battery setup, and now we are operating on the battery. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this up here. So a really ideal setup. We can do wall power or AC power and use MPF and use V-Lock batteries if we'd prefer that. As for output, this is pretty banging for the size, and considering that we're not getting direct light, it's bouncing around. So I have it very close to me obviously right now, and we'll do some setups here in a second. But very bright light. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it down to, let's say, 20%. Something like that. There's 20% right next to me. You can start to see how soft that light is. And I'm going to now switch it from 5600 Kelvin all the way down to 30,000 or 3,000. Bam, there it is, pretty nice. And I have noticed that the brightness doesn't seem to change that much as you switch the color temperature. So it's very even across the board. You're not going to get, you know, a spike right in the middle and then low levels on each end of the color spectrum, which is really nice. And it's really great to have this option to mix with either other daylight lights or dial it in if you just want to stick this in a room with existing lights and have it match. So that is an overview of the light and how it works. Now let's go ahead and set it up and use it. I'm going to do a couple different setups at different distances and see what we can get away with. Okay guys, setup number one. I've got the light just out of frame. I can move it so you can kind of see what's going on there. And it's a little more harsh than my light dome, which makes sense because the light dome is ridiculously huge, which is going to add a little more soft light. We're going to also bring this in a second a little closer so you can see what that would look like as opposed to kind of a medium shot. Settings wise, my camera is set to 4.5 for my aperture and ISO 200, so plenty of headroom there. And I have the light actually set to 75%, so I could bring this up and drop my aperture even more if I wanted to. So at this point, we're looking awesome. We've got plenty of play when it comes to output. Next, what I want to do is take the light output, turn it all the way to 100%, add even more diffusion to the front of it, see how soft we can get it, and then I'll bring the light in for a closer, tighter shot, more of a kind of a portrait beauty shot, and see how soft it looks when it's right up in your business. And here we are with added diffusion in front of the light. Light's in the same position. I jacked it up to 100 to compensate for shooting through another layer of diffusion. Settings are at f4.0 at ISO 200. Again, lots of room. I could jack this up to 2.8 and turn the light down if I wanted to. We have lots of headroom here, which is awesome. Now I'm going to bring the light nice and close with no diffusion and see what that looks like. And here's our final setup. I've brought the light very close, got it right here, and I've zoomed in obviously on my lens because this is a tighter shot, and you can see it's a little more of a dramatic lighting here. But you can see, first of all, look how giant my eye light is. So that little circle right in the middle of my eye, and then also how round it is. That's what's really cool about this light, is not only, instead of an octagon or a square, it is perfectly round. So if I zoomed way in, you'd get this beautiful eye light. So this setup is pretty tight of a shot, but it'd work great if you were doing makeup, even an interview. Something like this could look really cool. Several different uses, but if you get it nice and close, you're going to have some stunning soft light. And as we saw earlier, it works great a little further away. So here are the final takeaways. It's a bulky-ish light, which makes sense. It has to be this form factor for this whole thing to work. You'll definitely need a decent light stand to get this thing mounted up. Output is fantastic. I haven't worked with a light this style edgelit that's this bright, so I really do like that. I love the size. 27 inches is just about right. It's not so big it's just stupidly ridiculous, but it's not also tiny where it's almost useless. Color is amazing on this light. It's rated at 95 for the CRI as well as the TLCI. So really good specs there. And power options are awesome. We can do 2 Sony MPFs, a V mount, or we can go with just plugging it into the wall. And finally, the big thing for me is how much more space I feel like I have when I have this as my key light. Next to my light dome, it is ridiculously efficient looking, and it really makes a big difference here in the space. I'm not knocking on the light dome. I still love that thing and will continue to use it, but if you're really in trouble when it comes to space, this light makes a big difference. So that is going to do it for this video. You guys can let me know if you have any questions in the comments below. You can also find links to the light and where to pick it up. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.